Hello everybody, thank you again for joining me today. Today will be my last video in the Art with Miss Maria series. And so I was thinking about, my first video in this series was how to draw a chicken. So I thought I would end with some kind of a chicken theme. So today I'm going to be doing collage, and I'm going to be collaging a chicken. So for this materials, for my background, I'm choosing just a blue piece of construction paper. You can have a white piece of paper. You can also paint a piece of paper. So this is another option. This is like just some watercolor to kind of look like a background. It's kind of just kind of a watercolor wash. You could also do a plain paper. You can have it be another colored paper, any kind of paper that you have or want. I also have some papers that I like to collect, like kind of scrap papers, just different testing painted papers and things like that I have. So I have those. I also have different construction paper. So this will be what I use for, the body and the beak and everything. I also have a collection of little pieces of paper that I've collected over the years, and there's sparkly paper, there's felt in there's different shapes and things of construction paper. So any paper you have around your house, it could be decorative paper, painted paper, anything you have would work. And then you also obviously need some scissors. If you want to draw your shapes first, you would need a pencil and then some glue. So I've got some glue sticks here. And then if you wanted to use pastel or crayon or marker on top of your collage, you can also use that as well. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start with my background laid down here. And then I'm going to start with the body. And I think for the body, I'm going to use brown paper. So you can choose to just free cut if you know what kind of shape you want, but I think I'm going to draw my body first. And so I'm going to draw, let's see. So I've got the head, I've got the big body, and I'm not going to include the tail because I think I'm going to have the tail be a different kind of paper. So it's basically just a body and the head. And it looks doesn't look like a chicken quite yet, but it certainly will as we keep adding. So then I'll cut that out. Now, one thing I like to do when I'm collaging is before I glue anything down, I'm actually going to lay it all out first. That way, if I want to make changes, I can very easily. Now, I've got some really cool paper here. This was like a tester for some art materials that I was doing before. And I think I'm going to make the wing out of this. I'm going to draw a wing. And I'll cut it out. All right, that looks nice, the nice wing there. And then I think I'll probably do my tail with this too. And you can actually you can set it on top and draw. So let's see, if I have it like this, then I can draw my tail like that. See how that looks. And when you're doing collage, my recommendation is that you keep your shapes pretty simple because the harder the shape, the more intricate lines it has, the harder it will be to cut. So, and there's the tail. Well, that's kind of silly and fun, but that's okay. All right, it'll definitely need a beak. I actually have this, it's a piece of felt, and I think that would be way too big, so I'm going to cut it. And as you can see, you could either put it on top, or since it's not glued, you can put it underneath. So I think I like that. And then of course the chicken needs a wattle and a comb. I'll get some red paper. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little strip of paper and I'm going to stick it underneath the head. And I'm going to draw the comb just like that. And then I'm gonna peel it up and I'll cut it. That way I can stick it right back under there. And then I'll do a little half circle for the wattle. And I'll put that underneath too. All right, so now I'm going to put my eye on. So I just have a little piece of white paper and I'll just cut a circle. All right, so I've got a little circle there. And then I will need the little pupil as well. So I'm going to cut an even smaller black circle. All right, just a little tiny circle there. And that'll be for the eye, and that really gives it character at this point. All right, and then for my legs here, if you remember from my first video, chickens have little pantaloons. So I am going to make little brown pantaloons that come out. I think I'm gonna have my chicken walking, so there'll be one little pantaloon, and they're just basically little half circles. There's another pantaloon. Now for the feet, I'll have some orange, and I'm just gonna make them as simple as I can. So there be 1, 2, 3, and then a little kind of claw back there. That's the foot. And then 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's some little feet. Cut those out. And your chicken can be sitting on a nest. You could make a nest so you won't even see the feet. Okay, so at this point I will glue my chicken down. So I'm gonna kind of move some of this stuff aside, just like that, and I'll start by gluing the body on. I also recommend gluing on another sheet of paper. That way if you go off the edges, you're not gluing onto your nice picture. So always have, if you can, a scrap piece of paper to glue on. So all around the edges and then some in the middle, which is usually how I do it. And put your chicken down. And then I'll put the tail on, and again I'll get my scrap paper. Oops. You know what, I forgot to put, I wanted to put my comb and my wattle and my beak under the head, so I'm gonna just lightly peel that up. There we go. I want to put these things under. Here's that. And the beak under. There, now everything's underneath there. I'll put my eye on. Pantaloons on. I'll just put these right on top. And sometimes it's handy to have like a little wet, damp paper towel around, so if your fingers get sticky, you can just clean them on a damp paper towel, because sometimes it's very frustrating to try to do this with sticky fingers. Again, I'm gonna actually peel this up, put it underneath. There. Okay. So now I love texture and I love pattern. So I actually have, this is from either last week or a couple of weeks ago when I was doing my leaf printing. This was the scrap paper I used for my leaf printing. And I saved this because I thought it turned out really nice. So I'm going to take this, and I cut a strip of this, And then from this strip, I'm cutting little triangles, just like this. So what I'm going to do with these triangles is I'm going to add kind of like a stylized texture of feathers onto the chicken. So I'm gonna line them up kind of like this and put them in a row. And they'll kind of be like the feathers of a chicken. And I'm placing them out first so that way I can see what I like, what I don't like. All right, I think I like that placement. So now I'll go ahead and glue all of those down. And sometimes for small pieces, you can actually just put a little bit of glue right onto the paper and then just stick your piece on. But just take your time gluing and make sure that all of the edges of your piece that you're gluing on are glued down, otherwise they'll kind of flip up. And you could press them down too for a couple of minutes. Okay. So I'm gonna go make sure that I'm gonna do a little test to make sure I got all my pieces on there, and it looks like they're all on there. So at this point, you can do some stuff in the background, and I think what I'm going to do is some flowers. So again, I'm going to take some of the painted scrap paper that I have, and I'll also take some construction paper. So I think I'm going to just draw a flower. Set it there. Make a little yellow little circle. Sometimes I like to cut the shape out kind of really rough like this, and it makes it easier to cut later on without all that paper dragging around. Right. And then I'm going to just take some green paper and cut some thin strips for the stems. Alright, so then I'll go ahead and glue my flowers on. I'll glue my stems on first. You know what, it's okay if it hangs off. I'll trim it in a minute. I'll trim again, I've got my scrap paper here. Alright, I'll go ahead and trim these little guys. Or you could even leave them on if you like that look. I'm going to trim mine. I found this really cool sparkly paper downstairs. I think I'm going to cut a leaf or two. Okay, so for my bottom, I feel like it needs some kind of ground here in order to kind of ground the chicken down. And you know what? I actually ended up pulling some squares out from my bag, but these are just cut up pieces of paper into little square shapes. And I'm going to line them along the bottom. And it doesn't really look like grass, it doesn't really look like dirt, it's just shapes, and that's okay. It doesn't always have to look like something realistic. Okay, I like how that looks now. All right, I'm going to put a sun up here, and I think then that will be it. Now I have this paper here. This looks like something that my kids got into the paint, and we're doing some squiggly scribbly things. And I like to save these, so if you have any old paintings, marbled paper, or anything, it's really great to use for collage. So I'm just gonna cut a simple circle shape for the sun, and using some of this nice textured paper. Now at this point you can go through with a marker and you can draw stuff, you could go through crayons, but I think I'm going to leave it just as it is. And to me this chicken looks like she's busy, she's on the go. you know, doing things in the background will really help to give the chicken an environment that she's living in. All right, so here's my finished chicken collage. And these are just some ideas. The possibilities are endless with collage. If you like doing collage, I highly recommend saving scrap papers, collecting papers. You can even use paper that has writing on it. And you can, once you cut it up, it has a new life. So this will be my last video in the art series, and thank you for tuning in. And it's been my pleasure. Stay tuned to Main Street Arts to see when we'll have Art Saturday classes again at the gallery in the future. So stay tuned for that. And other than that, I hope that you stay creative and have fun. Thank you.